Howdy, folks. Welcome to episode 35 of Bonfire Man. Here's how Bonfire Man works. I'm locked to specific chunks in the game. I have to interact with everything in my unlocked chunks exactly once. So that means every tree needs to be chopped, every enemy needs to die, every resource needs to be consumed. When I interact with something, it is exhausted. When something is exhausted, that means I'm not allowed to interact with it again. I'm allowed to randomly unlock a new chunk whenever all of the entities in my current chunks have been so exhausted. When I enter a new chunk, I rest at a bonfire, as in the Souls games. Resting at a bonfire refreshes or unexhausts all of the content in previous chunks that I've already been to. Now I have to exhaust all entities in both the old and new chunks to continue to progress. My objective is to unlock every chunk in RuneScape. According to my estimates, I think that's going to take about 10,000 hours to complete. If you're interested in all the specifics, minutiae, minor rules, exceptions, that kind of a thing, there's a Google Doc in the description that lists all of that. Let's go ahead and get to the playthrough. Okay, so this is a pretty hype chunk roll. We finally get to do Tempoross. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the specifics around that. There's also the interesting problem of whether or not I'm allowed to light a bonfire in the Tempoross chunk. I might not be able to, and if I can't, that means we roll another chunk, but I'm actually not sure about that, so we're going to find out here in a second. Let's head to where we'll cross the fog wall. I'll give you the rundown on the boss. Okie dokie, folks. So here's the issue with Tempoross. Bonfire Man says that I can get 1 KC on a boss per cycle. Not one attempt on a boss, 1 KC. Fought KQ now 3 times, and each time I fight KQ, I do not win on the first attempt. I end up losing, having to teleport out and come back. That technically results in slightly more combat XP. In that case, it's absolutely not worth failing. Like, it takes so much time to fail, and I get basically no XP, so it's not something that I could conceivably want to abuse. However, you could argue that it might be better to just fail Tempoross over and over and over to get as much fishing XP and cooking XP as humanly possible, since it's only actually finishing the boss that triggers me not being able to kill it anymore and it being exhausted. I don't really have a formal way to rule for this. I guess we'll just go with I would be ashamed if I failed that many times. I'm not going to deliberately fail Tempoross. I'm going to make an honest effort to beat it as fast as possible every single cycle. You know, I've done some practice of the solo method on different accounts. However, this is an extremely low fishing account. I'm fishing like 51. So I'm probably going to fail on this first cycle a bunch of times, honestly, until I get my first solo kill with a good amount of reward permits. So I'll just be sure to report to you how many times I failed, and I guess promise to you, Scout's Honor, that I'm not going to abuse it and fail on purpose. I would actually like to win. If I win on the first try, that would be great, but I don't think that's going to happen because I have to figure out exactly, what's reasonable given my low fishing level. So the time it's going to take me to go in there and figure out whether I can light a bonfire is almost certainly going to lead to a failed game. So what I'll probably do is go in, test the bonfire, cross the fog wall, all of that, and then I'll hop worlds to start a game for real to actually do an attempt. All right, let's go through. Let's cross the fog wall and see what happens here. All right, crossing the fog wall. Here we go. Music track unlocked. Here we are. Can I light a bonfire? Too wet and windy for you to light a fire here. That's really good news. Oh man, that's fantastic. So not only did we get an outstanding chunk roll that I'm very excited about, we also don't have to, well, we physically can't light a bonfire, which means as soon as I finish getting 1 KC at this boss, I get to roll another chunk, and you get to see another exciting thing after this. Just making 100% sure that I can't light a bonfire anywhere, and it seems to be the case that I can't. So yeah, I'm gonna hop out of here. I guess we'll go ahead and show you. Well, no, let's hold off on the chunk objective overview until I roll another chunk and visit it, right? Because that'll change the overview. All right, so now I'm going to do my actual attempt for real. I'm going to be using the solo cooking mix of reward permits and experience method from the wiki. I've only ever done either max reward permits or max XP before, so this is kind of a middle ground, and I think it works with lower levels. I have no idea. And if I recall correctly, doing this solo is quite a bit more intense than like Winter Tot solo. Like, it's very easy to get into a failing game state. Fishing for the first time here, it says I need to get 7 to 10 raw harpoon fish. Probably gonna do 7 since I'm guessing my catch rate is pretty bad at this level. Then begin cooking them at the shrine. Tether to the mast. Oh, I forgot to bring a rope. Oh no. Well, I feel like I should leave right now because I think that completely kills the run. So yeah, let me get out of here. I guess I'll grab a bucket. I guess when I'm making mistakes, I don't get a lot of XP just from fishing the harpoon fish, so I'm not like getting way ahead of myself from that. This is interesting. I guess the wiki doesn't say to bring a rope because it says to bring the spirit angler set. All right, so that's failed run number 1. Here comes run number 2. At least I bailed out on that one pretty early. All right, it only took me like 3 fish into round 2 to realize that I had also forgotten a hammer. I like the wiki. Like, obviously, the wiki is one of the best resources for any video game I've ever played, but definitely very oriented around absolutely optimal play. Like, you can't even find a mention of a hammer basically anywhere other than the Imkando hammer is in the recommended equipment section of the strategy. Now, that's on me. I should remember that you need one. I've never done this with a, spirit angler set before, but third time's a charm. Let's go. Okay, so we're at the double fishing spot. I want to get 17 fish here if possible. Finishing cooking, 17. Did tether successfully that time. Maybe I'll just squeeze out some construction XP from this from repairing the mast, if I recall correctly. Got a couple tasks there. Master of buckets and calm before the storm. Need to catch 15 fish now, I think. 19 fish. All right, I screwed up again in a way that I think I can't recover from. I didn't repair the totem pole before the wave started, so I got kicked out because of that. So I'm going to replace, let's see. I'm going to replace my hammer. And I'm going to load out and try again. It is a decent amount of fishing XP from failing, but that's failure number 3. I did learn some more things, though. The wiki guide definitely isn't great for my setup because I am way too low fishing level to consistently get the numbers it's asking me to get. So I'm going to have to figure out exactly how to plan around it. I also have a run energy problem, as you can see here. I used the Explorer's Ring, but I might have to sit here and wait until I have full run energy before I go in there, because I'm not going to have, Explorer's Ring charges for every attempt. I gotta wait like 6 minutes for my run energy to come back, so I will attempt it again once it's full. All right, here comes attempt number 4. Let's keep feeling it out here. I may have screwed this up because I think I loaded uncooked. I think you need to always load cooked fish for this this method, so I might be screwed. We'll see. I think I'm just actually going to take the win here because I can win. I'm not going to get the maximum rewards. Lone angler, yeah. I got 5 permits. That's pretty nice. Man, I'm supposed to get like up to 10 permits. But I learned some things for next cycle. Since I'm not able to light a bonfire here, it exhausts, but I'm going to roll another chunk, and I'm going to light a bonfire in that chunk, and then Tempoross is going to come back. So I'm going to get to do Tempoross basically 2 times in a row. But I'm going to try to apply the lessons I just learned to survive for one more wave to try to get a little bit more XP and a few more reward points. I guess I'm probably just going to fish these reward points every single time because there's a couple things I could get that would be really impactful. A casket would be awesome. Let's see what we get here. 53 seaweed's actually not terrible. Okay. New collection log item, spirit flakes. That's actually quite good. I will use those whenever I'm fishing for fish that I know I will not be able to max out my inventory before the spot depletes, right? So probably right now that's lobsters. Yeah, that means that chunk 49 is 100% complete. Huzzah! Couldn't light a bonfire there, so that means it's time to roll another chunk. Let's go. Okie dokie, folks. We are back in the chunk picker. No change from the end of last episode. Excited for Enter the Abyss would be great. Getting into the Motherlode Mine would be great. We have a few ways to do that. Getting into Falador would be great. Same as before. Let's roll and see what we get here. No whammies. There's so many chunk rolls in a row. It's very unusual for this account. Pretty sure that's a reroll. Yeah. It's actually kind of an exciting reroll. Okay, we already have a lobster pot. It doesn't matter. Item spawns don't count. We've already killed birds. There's 43 trees there. Yeah, we're churning through chunks now. All of those reroll rules are finally starting to pay off. I guess I set this as a rollable chunk, but I'm not... I think I can get there. I think I can barely squeeze my way there. I guess we got to go find out really quick. Let me test it. Pretend like all these trees still show as exhausted. I wiped everything in anticipation that I might be able to light a bonfire in the Tempoross arena. Ooh, I actually can't get over there. In fact, I think this bird is unkillable. Maybe you can range it from down the hill. But there's no way through these trees to get into that little corner there. That should not have been a rollable chunk. I wasn't clear on that because I thought I could get up to this little corner and then transition over there. I'm going to have to just redo that. Yeah, back in the chunk picker, that should not have been accessible. It wasn't clear to me that it wasn't accessible before. Just going to roll again. That'll show in the chunk roll history when you review it here. West Soul Isle was not a real roll that we actually get. Is this the one? Oh, the game is... I'm being rewarded for my patience. Let's see. We got trash, 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 trash. Interesting trash, but still trash. Trash, 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 trash. What I wanted. Basically twice in a row. We can now do the Enter the Abyss quest. This is huge for the account. We can access all of the altars now. A lot of the altars are blocked by specific quests, but we can do like air runes, for example, and make an air tiara. And critically, we can finally do Guardians of the Rift. Yeah, that is... I'm glad this happened. I wish it had happened way earlier because we've been missing out on so much Runecraft XP per cycle. I feel like the bulk of our Runecraft XP is going to be coming from that mini game and not from, you know, making runes at the altars. But let's go ahead and head over there and light the bonfire. Oh my god. So I wanted this chunk so badly just for being able to unlock the Runecraft minigame, but way more interesting that I didn't even realize. There's a battle rune shop here. Yeah, and and we can complete the chunk this cycle because all that's here are 14 skeletons, dead trees, iron and coal. We can do all of this. So with the chunk complete, I'm gonna be able to buy out that shop stock from now on, and that changes everything for this account. I can finally get runes once per cycle. I'm probably going to start spending a ton of money on that. I might even end up depleting my cash stack every cycle on just getting as many runes as I humanly can. All right, let's go ahead and cross the fog wall here. Here we go. Excellent. And let's light a bonfire. And let's rest at it. Been a while since I lit a bonfire. Beautiful. Okay. So let's go ahead and talk about the objective summary now for this episode, and we'll come back and do Enter the Abyss. Okay, let's do our objectives overview. There's a time code in the description if you want to skip ahead back to the playthrough. So this is our map of all the chunks unlocked so far. Let's start by looking at 100% completed chunks. These are chunks in which we've exhausted everything there is to exhaust at least once in a prior cycle. Two main benefits from 100% completing chunks in this way. One, everything in that chunk becomes optional to deplete on future cycles, so that usually just means I'm going to skip killing uninteresting enemies and chopping regular trees in that chunk. The more relevant benefit is that we can do a few activities more frequently in 100% completed chunks. Here's the list of those. I've talked about these in prior episodes. Quick summary, we can chop all trees down to stumps. We can fish all fishing spots until they move. We can interact with all thieving nodes 28 times each. Shooting stars can be mined until they deplete. We can run agility courses until a Mark of Grace spawns, and we can buy out all of the shop stocks in these chunks once per cycle. What you see on the screen here is what I currently have access to in those green 100% completed chunks. There is no change here from last episode. The newly 100% completed chunks don't confer any new benefits. Basically, we can just skip cutting some trees. So after that, we have to talk about the chunks that are blocked from being 100% completed. Let's start with quest blocked chunks. All of these chunks are blocked by quests. You'll notice there is a new chunk here that's quest blocked compared to last episode, and that's the one we just rolled, the Edgeville Ditch. I'm sitting here being really excited about being able to buy out the Battle Rune shop every cycle and being able to do Guardians of the Rift, but there's something I don't know about Enter the Abyss that you're going to find out about very soon. This is unfortunately a quest block chunk. The rest of the quest block chunks here are the same as prior episodes, no real movement towards being able to complete any of these. Next up are skill blocked chunks. We don't have these skill levels to do these. The construction chunks are blocked by 82 construction for master stashes. Technically, there's a hard stash that we can probably boost and build in the Elder Chaos Druids chunk, but it's not worth it because I'm probably going to kill those Elder Chaos Druids every cycle anyway. The mining blocked chunks are blocked by 70 mining for adamantite ore. That's going to be a pretty huge breakpoint for this account. Once we pass 70 mining, we'll be able to complete those chunks, and that means 2 more shooting stars that we'll be able to mine to depletion every cycle. After that, we have item blocked chunks. Same as last episode, we need a bird snare and a big net to do the chunks down in the Soul Isle. Now, the big net isn't the only thing blocking Soul Isle East. We're also going to need a higher fishing level to be able to fish for sharks there, but right now the salient thing that's blocking us is the big net. And finally, we have chunk blocked chunks. We can't 100% exhaust these chunks because there's content we can't reach due to needing to roll adjacent chunks to get to it. One new one here on the east side, that's the dig site. The dig site is almost 100% completed, except there's a handful of trees on the eastern edge that are going to require us to roll a couple more chunks to get to. There's at least the one to the south, the actual exam center, and possibly also the Mauritania chunk on the east of it. Not a very impactful blocked chunk, though. Even if I were able to complete it right now, it would just save me from having to chop a few extra trees per cycle. And that's everything for today's chunk overview. Let's get to the bad news about Enter the Abyss here. Okay, let's go. I'm going to want to start working on Enter the Abyss first. Actually, I should add that as a quest. One second. All right, so we got to talk to this mage. Oh god, my pause on pause got screwed up there. Oh no. I think the chunk picker has been wrong this whole time. It's been saying that I've been able to do Enter the Abyss with just these chunk unlocks. But I think I have to visit the Rune Essence mine from 3 different locations. I only have 2. I only have Aubrey and the Wizard's Tower, so that potentially blows. We'll see how far we can take it, though. Oh, I'm so sad. So the chunk picker has said for a very long time that Enter the Abyss requires just these chunks to do, and suggests that it's possible, but in fact I need to have 3 different ways to get to the Rune Essence mine. So I, at a minimum, either need Arduin Market or the Tree Gnome Stronghold. And Arduin Market could happen. You know, if we get to Remington, we can take a boat there, so it's like 3 chunks away. But we're not going to finish Enter the Abyss, and that also means I'm not going to be able to finish this chunk, which means that the rune shop is not going to refresh. Now, I am going to be able to buy it out, so just buying it out once is going to be nice, but it's still a super bummer. I'm going to let the chunk picker guy know. Hey, just a quick note from Future Marstead here. The person who runs Chunk Picker V2, Source Chunk, has been amazing with feedback, actually already fixed this problem, and every other issue I've encountered, I've always reported it to Source Chunk, and it gets fixed usually within a week. So huge thanks to Source Chunk for, you know, maintaining the Chunk Picker. It makes this whole thing possible. All right, well, I took like a day off to mourn that I can't finish the Edgeville Ditch and I can't do Into the Abyss. I did it as far as I could. Talked to Sedridor, talked to Aubrey, but I need to get a 3rd teleport to the Rune Essence mine. Apparently mining this iron is an easy task. Huh. All right, finished mining everything. Let's do the trees. We'll kill the skeletons. Oh, got an accidental music unlock there. I went to run from this tree to this tree, and it looped me around the chunk border. So I got wildwood, I guess. All right, trees have all been chopped. Let's work on, it's actually a lot of skeletons. 14 skeletons. All right, I added the air obelisk. We'll do 1 full inventory as allowable per cycle. All right, the newest chunk is as done as I can get it. I am going to grab some money and start buying out runes from the shop. I have to track the stock because I will not be able to exhaust it every cycle. But I'm going to try to hold on to like 100k, but I'd like to spend like 200k or more on this. So we'll see how many runes that produces. All right, so I've actually bought out everything I can from this shop. The stock is a lot lower, unfortunately, than Aubrey, and it goes higher after you finish the mini quest, but I couldn't finish the mini quest. That's still a lot of potential magic XP, but I don't think that's going to get us to be able to do the air orb. So just have to continue to pray for more chunk unlocks that get us closer to being able to finish the mini quest, because that will change a lot. There's still other rune shops that we could conceivably unlock. We got to get like 1 chunk with a completed rune shop. That would be really, really good. I might end up doing high alchemy on some of those unstrung longbows. just to burn through my nature rune stack. I get a lot of nature runes from Soul Wars. That's potentially a good amount of magic XP. If like I want to try to make sure that I'm getting as close to 66 magic as possible. I don't know, does bank XP work for magic? It doesn't. Okay. I guess it has no way of knowing if you're using them for combat or whatever. I'll try to do some calculations later and figure out how far this can take me. And say I could try to get a magic potion from the Jekyll random, because that's +4 magic. But that requires a weed that I can only get from the Summer Garden. It requires 60 thieving, which we might get 60 thieving. We're getting way more thieving XP per cycle, but that's going to be a ways off. Then I'd only have to get to 62 magic, because it looks like to get to 66 I'd have to do 4,527 casts of high-level alchemy, and I've got 900. That's not happening. But 62, on the other hand, much more reasonable 2,000 casts. Yeah, I'm already halfway there, and then probably my mind runes could get me a good chunk of the way too. So we'll see. This is a good thing. I think there's lots of interesting things now on the horizon that can change stuff up. It would be cool to have to get that magic potion to finish a chunk of tasks, so I'm going to keep my eye out for a clean dwarf wheat, I guess. All right, so next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go back to Tempoross here because I can. Remember, I went in, I did it, and then I wasn't able to light the bonfire, so then we went to the Edgeville Ditch and lit the bonfire, so now I get to go do Tempoross again. That also happened earlier with the Asgarnian Road chunk, where bonfires could not be lit. So, could get a better kill at Tempoross. I've learned now that I can actually end the game almost on command, so it's not as stressful. But it's more stressful if I'm trying to get more points. I'm going to try to get more points than I did last time. All right, I'm back at Tempoross. I'm going to give it a new try here. Let's see if I can get a few more points. Last time we got 5 reward permits. I'm going to try to top that. Got fishing 52 here on this pool. Okay, I think I have this down. I understand the exact proportions of fish that you're loading. You're just trying to keep its energy as low as possible to avoid special attacks. I should be able to get more than 5 reward permits. I'm going to try to get as many fish as I possibly can on this last inventory, turn them all in, and then just go finish off the boss. Running in to hopefully get the last few hits in here. This might be pushing a little close. Okay, and I just got to get my buckets back. Got 9 reward permits. Not 10, but that's still pretty good. And, yeah, almost 7,000 XP from 1 successful attempt there is quite nice. Okay, yeah, so we probably can expect getting that every cycle, like somewhere between 8 and 10 permits, depending on how things go. That's quite manageable, and it's a good amount of fishing XP. Let's see what we get here. I think theoretically it might make more sense to save these reward permits until I'm a much higher fishing level to hopefully get better rewards overall, but I don't want to do that. Some of the drops I could get would be pretty transformative for the account, so I'd rather just, you know, fish for them now. It's pretty good. It's a lot of raw food. Okay, let's start working on the rest of the cycle here. I'm gonna use my spirit flakes for the first time and do lobsters. All right, first node went pretty well. I had 12 catches and 8 spirit flake procs, so should be good long term. It's too bad it doesn't generate extra XP, but not a big deal, I guess. Items like these spirit flakes, anything that's like a catalyst item, is way more impactful for me than it is for any other account. You know, I have a lot in common with like region restricted accounts and chunk accounts and the like, but Bonfire Man specifically is one of the only ones I've seen that is so limited on resources. Like everybody else can spend as much time as they want fishing for lobsters, so this only represents saving time, not actual real increase in resources. Oh man, yeah, second inventory filled up. Pretty great. All right, third inventory, not as good. I'm going to come back here to harpoon fish, but we're going to go look for some shooting stars real fast. All right, found a T7 star. I'm going to bring my main in to mine it here. Well, unfortunately, a bunch of other people just showed up, so I don't think I'm going to be able to do it. I'm going to try to look for another one here. Yeah, I was able to get the other guys to swap off of it through public chat. Mining, 65. All right, I think I'm going to get a decent amount of AFK from this. I'm going to go get some chores done. I'll be back. I was AFK and missed the mysterious old man spawn. I have plausible deniability. Just assume it was a mime, hopefully. Holy moly, it's a dunce random. Let me do this real fast so that my star doesn't deplete. Yeah, I'm actually going to save that for... I'll go do the Drainer Agility course after this. See if I can use it on as high an agility level as possible. I think I have about 25 minutes left on the star, so it's unlikely another random will spawn before then. All right, star despawned at 1 hour 55 minutes. Pretty good deal. I'm gonna go do the Draenor agility course as far as it'll take me. If I'm close, I might also do the Varrock course and the Alkarid course and the monkey bars. That would get me one more level before using this book of knowledge. And then we'll, I guess I'll work on woodcutting or mining or something. Pretty good mining XP from that guy, 28.9k. Big thanks to the folks who were willing to leave. I really appreciate that. I know it's annoying to have a snowflake iron come up and make demands, but I feel like it's a game mechanic problem. I really hope that Jagex eventually patches it so that, you know, you want more people at those nodes. All right, so starting the agility rooftop, remember it's like a 1 in 20 chance for a Mark of Grace to spawn, so that was really great last cycle. It took over 20 laps, but 1 in 20 is 1 in 20. It could spawn on the very second lap, so I'm hoping for a delayed spawn here. 34 agility. The number I'm looking for at 36 would be great. That's more run energy restore. I think that's the main thing I'm looking forward to with agility right now. Yeah, looking ahead here, 38 would be the Alkarid mine shortcut, which I would actually use. Kind of annoying for me to get into that mine right now, depending on how I'm traveling through to clear all the chunks. Not super impactful, though. 42 for more run energy restore. 48 for more run energy restore. None of the other levels matter for me with my currently unlocked chunks. But the pipe squeeze in the Varrock sewers would actually be really, really good. Just for convenience, if nothing else, you know. Oh, luck ran out that time. Let's see, we did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 laps. That's okay. I don't think I'm going to be able to squeeze out 35 via the Alkarid course or the Varrock course. I'll probably just go ahead and use the skill book after finishing this lap here. Quite a bit less XP. I think I got like 4,000 last time. Yeah, so let's go ahead and use this book here. 510. Pretty good. All right, about to hit 76 woodcutting. Cool. Waiting for 99 now. All right, folks, it took like 9 hours, but all the woodcutting's done. I still have a bunch of mining and thieving and stuff to do. I'll probably do Soul Wars here in a second, since I'm already here. 80k woodcutting XP is not too bad. It does take way more hours than you'd expect, but maybe we'll hit 99 one day, 180 some cycles from now. Oh, that's a new one. RuneLight just crashed to desktop on me while I was in the middle of a Soul Wars game. Sucks really bad. The game was almost over and I was probably going to get a ton of points. All right, 33 zeal on my first real game after crashing. We lost on that round, sadly. That second game was even worse. With me doing as best as I could, I only got 16 zeal, so I got to fit in one more game, I guess. Oh man, this is weird as hell. I think I got zeal when I crashed earlier. I think I got partial zeal, or maybe the game had just ended like seconds after I crashed. Crash was really close to the end. I did the math though, and I already have over 60. I think I got 24 zeal when RuneLight crashed, so I don't have any record of that happening, but I guess I can prove it by looking at my Soul Wars zeal on the high scores. Yeah, so it looks like I got 24 and then 33, so that still allowed me to do one more, and then fortunately the third one is a really low scoring game. That means I got a total of 73 for the cycle. Okay, well, I skipped out of the game I was just in after realizing that. I have thought more and more about whether I should go for the Soul Cape, but we'd have to miss out on Spoils of War for so long. I guess maybe I'll end up saving up for it when Spoils of War become less relevant, but they're still ridiculously relevant, so we're nowhere near that point. All right, 3 of these. Let's see what we get here. First one, 95 mithril ore, a bunch of adamant arrows. Really want this to be coal. Also not very good. One more. There's some coal. You'll love to see it. It's going to be pretty big for Giant's Foundry later this cycle. Okay. Should hit fishing 53 here in a second. There it is, fishing 53. Ended up getting a willow seed and an acorn from chopping trees, so I'm gonna go ahead and plant those. Hey folks, so the Halloween event just launched. I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can do that while I wait for a shooting star to land here. Wow, the Halloween decorations look really nice this year. Oh, that's cool. The little kid has a black mask. All right, I can retrieve out these holiday items, which I might actually use one of these. We'll see. This is kind of weird for Bonfire Man. There's a man NPC here. Guessing I'm not actually allowed to attack him. Looking pretty cool. You got to wear a Halloween set to do things here. Also got a ton of songs and skin color unlocks and all kinds of options. That's pretty sweet. Oh, looks like a shooting star spawned, so I'm going to head over in that direction. All right, let the mining begin, and then I'll do more Halloween stuff after this. This is pretty funny. If you're wielding a treat cauldron while mining a star, you get treats. That's kind of awesome. Should hit 66 mining. Yeah, going pretty well. Well, I got this right after the patch this morning, and so the star was around for about 30 minutes less than it normally would be. Unfortunately, it's quite a hit to mining XP. It's not, I guess it's not a huge deal, but it does suck a little bit. We got 198 treats in the process, and I mean, this is right after the patch, so I don't know if we know how treats work yet. I'm going to check the wiki, see if anyone's updated it. Try to go look for another shooting star, I think. All right, depositing those 198 treats. Let's see what we get. Halloween wig, witch hat. Oh, the Halloween wig is kind of awesome. I have to decide what I actually want to wear. The witch hat's cool too, although it gives you the nose. I don't know. Again, my objective with Fashionscape is to try to equip stuff that looks like it could be conceivably in a Souls game. So I think of the Halloween stuff I've already picked up, probably the most likely thing is going to be that this Grim Reaper hood. This actually looks like it's directly out of Dark Souls 1. There's an enemy that looks just like that. So yeah, maybe that will be my new Fashionscape headgear for a bit. We'll see what else I get from depositing treats, though. Dude, the spooky dog is amazing. I just pet it. I can't pet it again. It's incredible. Oh, I missed the text, too. Who's a spooky doggy? And Trick or Treat with Duke Horatio. Someone pointed me to him earlier. Oh, yeah. All right, he's redirected me to Party Pete and Falador. So I think actually the way I'm going to get enough treats to unlock everything is going to be from mining shooting stars, not from doing trick-or-treating. That's nice to get another 100 treats, though. I think I can turn this spooky outfit into a spookier outfit using the settled swamp out here, so I'm going to do that real quick. I seem to remember this being a thing, so I think I use this on there. There we go. And you just unlock all of them. That's nice. That could be me from now on if I wanted. I think I like the Reaper hood. I have to make a decision between the Reaper hood and the witch hat, because the witch hat is very Souls. The nose isn't, but then everyone is ugly and looks horrible in the Souls game, so maybe it is. Pretty stylish, though. Hoping for a Soul Wars spawn here. Got a tier 5 star here. Unfortunately, it's on a publicly scoped world, so someone else might show up to compete for it, but I'm gonna mine as much of it as I can in the meantime. All right, made it to the end of that one. Just short of 2 hours. Somebody else showed up while it was on a tier 2 star, but they showed up pretty late, so I didn't really lose out on too much. That's basically it for mining this cycle. I'm gonna go finish up fishing, and I guess we'll work on thieving before I get on to PVM. Depositing all my treats obtained so far. The witch top, and the witch robes, and the witch boots, and the witch cape. Actually, the witch cape could be my new cape. Oh yeah, that actually looks pretty sick. It has no stats, but the stats that I have on my capes right now aren't particularly amazing. Actually, this whole set is kind of sick. Like, I would wear it if not for the long nose. I'll at least wear this part of it. I think it looks cool. I guess I don't super care for the pointy shoes either, but the rest of it kind of looks awesome. Well, while I was fishing for eels, I happened to get a oil lantern frame from Cave Slimes, which I've never seen before, so that's kind of neat. Still have some non-PVM stuff to work on. Thieving, big one, a little bit of fishing still. Looking pretty sweet. I think this is going to be my transmog for skilling from now on. I like both the cape and the helmet. Got some extra treats from Aggie the Witch here. Farming 38. Get extra willow roots now, and I did plant a willow tree, so that's nice. All right, here comes 53 pickpocketing, thieving rather. There's a ton of people here for the event. This is the last deposit of treats I have to do. Okay, I got 2 noted pumpkins, worth it. They should be about to hit a range level. Tend to stop at 64, but I might take a look at my max hit, range 63. I might take a look at my max hit with different bits of ammo and decide whether I want to go a little bit further or not. The plan will be to switch back to strength after this, though. Doesn't seem like it should be worth celebrating, but I got my second ever bucket of sand from sand crabs here. It is actually kind of significant. It matters if we end up having to use glass for anything. All right, I decided to go get KQ out of the way and got the pull on the first try. I keep wiping out my ground markers, so I'm going to try to replace them and try to remember to save them for next cycle. I had a really good pull going. I was in the final poison, and I swear to God, my cat jumped on my desk and jumped on my mouse, and it clicked me off my safe spot. My cat killed me. It's so painful. Like, making a mistake is like a 30-minute time loss, especially when you make it that close to the end of the kill, right? She had like 20 health left or something when Ben jumped on my keyboard. Ugh. All right, I got my second pull. Here we go. All right, blessedly, he's poisoned and almost down, so I just got to be ready to do the swap here. So I had turned off run somehow on my Bonfire Man, but I think I'm okay as long as I am the only one who took damage, so I think I can still do this. It says I won't receive kill credit, even though I'm the one that got hit, not the group iron. I don't understand. It could have just been, maybe I'm not allowed to take damage during the phase transition or something, like she's maybe not allowed to do anything during the phase transition for it to work. Okay, well, I've learned another lesson. I need to make sure that run is on before the phase change. Well, yeah, one of these cycles, I'm just going to do it on the first try, but there's a new mistake that I make every single time. I guess the cat jumping on my keyboard wasn't my fault, but turning run back on, I think it probably wore off because I just physically ran out of run energy and then forgot to turn it back on. I wasn't under the impression that if the Bonfire Man took damage while I was hiding, that was problematic. I thought it was only a problem if my Gim took damage, but okay, I think I did the pull successfully this time. There's some workers that are in between that last Guardian and the boss that make me a little nervous, but oh, thank God. I was really stressed out about that. The worker despawned and the Guardian moved into place, retrapping her. Worried she was going to back up a tile. I feel like I'm going to be the master of this method after 10 more attempts or so. Like, I don't get to keep all my muscle memory because I'm not doing it over and over. It's like 30 hours and several days in between each kill, but I've definitely brought my time down every single time, right? Like 5.5 hours to 4.5 hours to 2.5 hours to like an hour and a half this time, I think. I guess I learn something every time I fuck it up, so that helps. It takes 40 minutes to learn something, sadly. Got it. Okay, let's see what happens here. Lava Battle Staff. It's not good, but I wouldn't get one otherwise. I think that's the worst battle staff, but that's still kind of neat to have. Take it. Got another super combat potion too that I'm probably not gonna be able to use. Basically never get prayer levels anymore. Here's 51 prayer. There's range 64. I really want to stop leveling ranged. I get a max hit in 2 range levels, so maybe I'll stick it out. It's tough because so many of my arrows don't get a max hit, so I feel like it's better to just stick with my previous plan of keeping range 7 levels below strength. Meantime, I'm just going to be very pleased to switch off and not have to pick up arrows anymore. This is step 2 of an easy clue. It's kind of cool that it's over here. Barely in my chunk. Please be one I can do. Can do this, okay. Like a 5% chance to complete an easy clue, so that could be a 4-stepper, which would screw me over. It's happened to me a couple times. 6.63% to complete an easy clue. Please don't be a 4-stepper. I'm begging you, game. Please don't do this to me. Oh my God. Oh my God, I can do it. Okay. Holy shit. Well, this is exciting. 1 in every 20 easy clues. I don't even report them usually unless if I get past the second step or get to the second step. Alright, so there's a handful of things that could be in this casket that could be pretty impactful. Probably going to be trash, let's be honest. Let me look at my last one. This is what we've gotten so far. I guess the Ceridome and Robe legs are pretty good. The Black Pickaxe was pretty huge. I don't know if I want to look at the drop table. I'm just going to make myself sad, you know? Trimmed Amulet of Power, the Ham Joint, God Robe Top, Monk Robes would be cool. There's a lot of garbage. There's a lot of garbage on this table that would be totally useless. A Blessing would be really cool, actually, although those are pretty rare from Easy Clues. All right, let's just open it. That's pretty sucky. That's a new collection log item, I guess, but... Another long bone from Mammoths. It's always a fun drop. We're here maging for the first time in a long time with the runes I got from the shop. Just trying to squeeze out a couple magic levels here. Man, I haven't done mage in a long time. It's weird having a max hit of 6. I'm so used to every other combat style. Hey, magic 57. All right, I'm about to hit runecraft 41. Yeah, doesn't matter. My only hope with runecraft, honestly, other than, you know, getting Temple of the Eye eventually, because that's going to be pretty huge, I'm hoping to get it to the minimum level for the quest cape, which is actually pretty low compared to all the other skills. Currently, it's 55 runecraft, which is going to suck, but it'll be possible by using all the altars like this. About to get a hit points level up here. Hit point 69. Nice. Saw my first ever lucky impling. I think I just walked past it. Yeah, it's my first time seeing one on this account. I run past this a lot. 26 days, 14 hours. Just, it's neat, you know. Just caught my first swordfish, and it doubled up because of the spirit flake. So I do think using the spirit flakes here makes sense. Oh god, it moved after only 2 catches. Horrible. All right, so I'm hopeful this is going to be one of the last big mistakes that I have to correct for. I've gotten way, way, way more careful with, like, very carefully reviewing the chunk picker site to make sure that there's nothing that I'm missing. But even then, the chunk picker's wrong sometimes, as we saw with the Abyss quest. So, for some reason, I marked the Shantae Pass complete, and it's not complete because, like, Tourist Trap starts right there. I don't think it's a huge deal. It basically means that I skipped killing these Shantae guards, and they only drop bones, and I skipped killing the desert wolves outside, and they only drop wolf bones, and I skipped killing the Ukthankis, and they only drop Ukthanki meat and bones. So, you know, in this case, there's nothing to make up for. If I left it in the past, I don't have that XP or those items, but I do have to start fixing it now. So going forward, this is not a complete chunk. I don't get to skip those things. I have to do those things. I had a bad habit early on of not adding relevant quests to my task list until they became relevant, which means that I'd like miss things like, you know, Lost City. I probably should add all of the quests that are possible in Lumbridge, not just Recipe for Disaster, like X marks the spot and the like. Okay, I think this is going to be my new fashion scape. It doesn't look quite like the Dark Wraiths in Dark Souls 1. I guess the skeleton outfit looks a little bit more like that, but I like the look of this. This is cool and fitting, I think. This is going to be our Bonfire Man for a while. We'll see what new stuff we get in new chunks to maybe change to in the future. I'm nearing the end of the cycle. I have to do construction, last man standing, Giant's Foundry, but most of the entities are exhausted. This should actually be a pretty good cycle for Giant's Foundry because I have 57 mithril bars from that giant cold drop I got forever ago. All right, just hit 66 smithing, right? Actually, getting to 71 would be huge. That's an adamant axe, which would be a pretty big upgrade given how much goddamn wood cutting I have to do. Right, so I still have like 17 mithril bars left, but the current ratios are really bad, so I'm just going to save what I have left over for next cycle. I think that's going to be fine. We still got a lot of XP and a good chunk of money from this. I still have to do construction and last man standing, and then we'll do the summary. All right, here's the last of the construction XP. These torches. All right, now I just have to do last man standing for 7 points, which was really fast last cycle, but could be really slow depending on who I get paired with, so I'm going to go give that a try now. I only got 2 kills this game. Lucky rolls was the main thing, but it's personal best for me. Oh shit, I'm going to die. Yeah, I got 3 points. I only needed 2 points to get to 7, so technically got 8. We're at 29. We still have a ways to go until the rune pouch, and then after the rune pouch, it gets pretty interesting, actually. But that's it for the cycle, so I'm going to head over to, I guess, Soul Wars to sign off here. Oh wait, no, I'm doing my sanity check, and I forgot to do Sorceress's Garden. That's a pretty big thing to forget. I'm going to head over there and do that now. Bobbing out of an Evil Bob random here. Let's see what we get. Magic, okay. Okay, I finished Sorceress's Garden. Let me get all my stuff together and we'll summarize the chunk. All right, time to summarize the chunk. Here we go. Slow scroll through the objectives. I have some things to clean up here. The center wildy ditch is done, so I'm not going to do those trees, and I didn't do those trees. Can't do the dig site dungeon. I did build this medium stash. I don't have Shantae Pass back on this list. I did kill all of them. I'll show you when I get to the kill counts later. So Shantae Guards, Ugthonkis, and Desert Wolves. Pretty good in general. Show you the live split timer. Let me stop it here. Yeah, it came in quite ahead of the last cycle by about, 6 hours, which is the amount of time I spent grinding fletching last time. So this is around what I'd expect to be going forward, about 32 hours, unless if anything really changes going forward. 26 days, 17 hours played so far, which is a lot. Loot tracker, slow scroll. Here we go. I think I only made one mistake this time. I've said before, okay, first of all, I underkilled goblins to make up for overkilling last time. The mistake I made is I accidentally pickpocketed a guard for the same reason I usually accidentally pickpocket them, that I had it set to, there it is, should be 286. I have the left click swap set to pickpocket, so when I go to attack them later, I forget to undo that. Looking pretty good there. Supplies used does include Last Man Standing. I forgot to show you before going into Last Man Standing. I'll try to remember that next time, but you can kind of tell what is and isn't Last Man Standing stuff anyway. Random event history. Didn't get any particularly great ones. I got a dunce. All these, lots of mysterious old mans, but literally every single one of them is the mime event, sadly. I'll show you the bank, and then I'll do XP, because I got to manually set up the XP. All right, so here's the bank. New items. The Scrying Orb for Enter the Abyss. Sadly, I can't use it. Spirit Flakes I'm going to keep using on lobsters and swordfish. Got some raw bass from Tempoross. The specimen jars from the dig site quest. I'm able to pick it up in the dig site area. I got a willow sapling that I planted, but we've done that before. Triangle sandwich, oil lantern frame. I think that dropped from a cave slime finally. I still can't do anything with it until we get to Ribbington, but I guess it's neat. The Halloween mask set, these 2 pumpkins, these edible seaweeds, lava battle staff from Calphite Queen, trimmed black plate legs from an easy clue completion. This is just because I haven't lit that candle. And then all of this stuff, all of the Halloween event stuff, I'm going to try to put this in my house. What I need to test, though, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to deposit something in my house and then break down that piece of furniture and still have it, like, be floating, right? Is it going to kick it out or something? So I'll have to test that. Okay, here are the XP gains for the cycle. Woodcutting and mining obviously still the highest. Mining is getting close to matching woodcutting depending on what tier stars we get. Switch back to strength after finishing up range. This is probably going to be our highest skill again for some time. Getting a really solid amount of thieving and fishing XP, thanks to Tempoross for that. Although this is going to be higher than it will be in future cycles since we effectively got to do Tempoross twice with the way the bonfire worked out. Those are the totals. Let's look at the deltas, so the change in XP gain from last cycle. Here are those deltas. Strength is up by the most because we switched back to it. That fishing gain is from basically 2 rounds of Tempoross, so I would expect next cycle for it to be about half that. Magic is because I used some of the runes from the new shop to kill black demons. I might only use it for black demons going forward. We'll see. I don't want to dump them all. Everything else on here, I guess farming is up from being able to plant both an oak tree and a willow tree, so that was quite nice. I was confused about construction for a second, but that's from building the medium stash. That makes sense. We got a little luckier on talismans this time, so I was able to make a couple more combination runes, which is why runecraft is slightly up. And just about everything else is within the normal range. I guess agility's down from only getting to do a few laps of Draenor. Smithing is down because I'd stopped making swords when I started running out of bars. I expect smithing to spike a whole bunch next cycle since I'm going to have leftover bars from this cycle. Mining, we didn't do quite as well because we lost 30 minutes on that one star that I hit right after the update. I've learned not to do that ever again. And of course, fletching XP's down because I didn't spend 6 hours on it this time. As far as upcoming levels we care about, we got about 7 levels of strength until I can switch off it again, and that's probably going to take hundreds of hours at the current rate we're progressing through it. I might, once I get to 36 agility, I might switch to Lamping Slayer just to get to 35. If we get to 35 Slayer, we can finish the Lumbered Swamp Cave, which would let us deplete the fishing nodes in there, which is actually a pretty decent amount of extra XP. The nodes don't move, so I can always fill my inventory off of them, and each XP drop is like 80 plus XP, so I probably should have done that sooner, but I've really wanted to get agility as high as possible because walking around and running around feels miserable right now, and will for a long time. 55 construction is going to be exciting. We'll be able to use all those damaged armors, which I'll be able to feed into Giant's Foundry. It's actually going to be 53 that I'll boost to at 55. I can also make a hard stash with that boost, which will let me finish the Elder Chaos Druids chunk, but I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to like sip that tea, warp out of my house, and make it to the stash point before the buff runs out, so I might need to wait until we get to 54 to build that. I guess also thieving, we're just barely getting 1 level per episode now, so I don't think we're going to see 60 thieving for probably another 7 episodes or so. But once we get there, that lets us do the summer garden, which would be really, really nice. Okay, I think that's it for summarizing. Let's look at the junk picker. All right, looking at the board here, not a lot of changes from last episode. The new one is this chunk is now rollable. It's a reroll. There's nothing there. There's, I'm sorry, not that one. This one, scorpions and trees. So yeah, if we get that, we go do it and we reroll. Everything else is about the same. Really want the Edge of a Monastery chunk because it will let us finally get down into the Dwarven Mine, which lets us get to Motherlode Mine and lots of other good stuff. Really want to get into Falador. I want to get into Port Sarum. Wouldn't mind getting the Air Altar. That would be kind of neat. Poldum Niche would be pretty cool, and I still really want to do Priest in Peril and start getting access to Mauritania. Let's go ahead and roll, see what happens. Okay, I think that's just a reroll. Yeah. It's just a reroll, and there's barely anything for me to do there. I can just sneak in a couple of these trees on the corners here. I don't even think I can get into the Soul Wars central area. There might be like a tiny little corner that I can squeeze into. Yeah, we'll go check that out and then roll another one. Oh, and I guess I knew I was forgetting something. I forgot to show you the bank comparisons. Let me do that real quick before we pop over there. Yeah, so this is the change in items. Notably, we're up by 11 law runes. I still don't have over 100. Once I have over 100 consistently for a couple episodes, that's probably what I'm going to start considering adding the teleport locations as rollable chunks. Like the Falador teleport would be a big one, the Camelot teleport, but we're not there yet, so I'm not going to worry about it just yet. Money, we're down a bit, but that's because I made fewer swords. That'll probably catch back up next cycle. Okay, let's go finish up what I can in this red base chunk. All right, here we are at the chunk boundary. Let's go ahead and cross the fog wall. Cool. All right, yeah, there's basically nothing here. There's 34 trees, of which I probably can't get to most of them. There's this rat that I'm going to go ahead and kill. There it is. There's an NPC here. It just has like some flavor, and I guess there's a fly fishing rod and a plank, which is potentially pretty interesting. What you're doing. Fly fishing rod. Plank. Different looking fire animation than I'm used to seeing. And I guess if I hadn't gotten the Runes of Unka, this could have been my first time getting a fly fishing rod, which would have been pretty hype, but we already have one, so it's not a big deal. All right, something I wanted to test in advance. I wanted to know if I could get into this corner to get into this chunk, because this chunk is awesome. That chunk is the Soul Isles dungeon, but it looks like it's symmetrical with this side that I can't get over there. I'm going to need to get this little edge piece first, so I'll not be able to roll the Soul Wars dungeon yet, sadly. And unfortunately, that's all the trees I can do. There's 11 that I can reach. I'm going to go ahead and add that as a note, because I am going to have to chop those in every cycle until we can get to the rest of it. But it is still a reroll trunk. Let's go back to the chunk picker. Right, so rolling that chunk hasn't changed anything because, like I said, we can't get over here by that corner. So I'm just going to pick again. Okay, that's interesting. I put that as a thumbs up just because it's a new place. I haven't really looked at it very closely. Okay, so the reason we have Karamja Volcano as a rollable chunk is because we have a minigame teleport to go to the fight caves, or the fight pits, technically. And that minigame teleport is associated with the surface chunk, and I wanted to make sure everything's associated with a surface chunk. So technically, we'll be able to do everything inside of the Crandor and Karamja dungeon, as well as everything in Moral Wreck, which means I think that means we can technically do the fight caves now. I don't think we have enough resources for it. I certainly don't feel confident attempting it without at least a couple prayer potions. Like, it could be possible. I'm decent at flicking, but holy shit, that would be a nightmare. Wouldn't it be cool to get a fire cape, though? That would actually be pretty sweet. Definitely looks like we're not going to... Well, we're obviously not going to be finishing Moral Wreck ever, because to finish it, we'd have to be able to do the Inferno, which that's not happening. Not for a long time. The dungeon itself, I guess, has some lesser demons. I don't know how much of the dungeon I can actually access, because part of it's going to be blocked off due to not being able to do Dragon Slayer 1 yet. Although this is nice because when we unlock Dragon Slayer 1, you know, this was a problematic chunk otherwise. So yeah, we'll have to explore that a bit. As far as the actual surface part, having access to 4 monkeys is kind of a huge deal. Because I think that means we can finish Rag and Bone Man finally. I don't know if it's going to tell us up here. Might be janky. Yeah, it can't know whether we have access to it. Okay, yeah, no, we can do Rag and Bone Man now, which, how many quest points does that give? Unfortunately, it gives just 1 quest point, which isn't enough to be able to start Dragon Slayer 1. It would be so nice to be able to start Dragon Slayer 1. There's a lot we could do whenever that becomes possible. I mean, we're not going to finish it, but just being able to get into the Champions Guild unlocks a lot of content. So it's 1 point closer to that. We'll finally be able to do that quest. Sylvaria is still going to be blocked from completion because we need to do Rag and Bone Man 2, and that's... there's lots of dead trees. I think we can complete the surface part of the chunk. So I won't have to do those trees again, assuming I can get to all of this and it's not blocked by other chunk rolls. Definitely not going to be able to complete the dungeon or Moral Wreck or any of that, but this represents a pretty significant bump in content. Actually, it's not listed on the feature list, but this shortcut here isn't going to count as an exhaustible task because it doesn't produce XP. It's a grapple shortcut, and we've already made that ruling about shortcuts that don't produce XP. They're not exhaustible, so we will be able to finish the surface. Okay, thanks everybody. Bye.